Hello everybody, Gernobly here. Welcome to my beginner's guide to LoL. So, you've heard of this game called LoL. It's a pretty big thing. Millions of people play it worldwide. Maybe some of your friends have talked about it, something like that, but you don't know where to get started. Well, that's where this video series is going to come in handy. First off, to get started, you're going to want to go to leagueoflegends.com and download the game, as well as create your own account. Once you've done that, you can open the application and log yourself in. Once you've done that, you'll be at this screen. Depending on if you've chosen beginner, if it's your first time, something like that, it may first ask you if you want to do a tutorial or a battle training. Both of these are very good. The basic tutorial goes about how to move your character, very, very basic things. And the battle training is a game against bots, but they have a lot of pop-ups and handy tips that you can use while you're actually in the game. Before things happen, they tend to tell you what you should be doing and what to do next. So, first off, we're going to pick this big play button up here. We're going to click on it, and as you can see, this is actually a new account, and a lot of these things are locked. They do that because they don't want you to jump right into, say, a 5v5 with other people when you maybe don't quite have the handle on things. You know, it usually won't be good for you or them who you're playing with. So if you click this button right here, it'll bring you into a co-op versus AI game. Usually after you've done your first two things, that's where you should go. To unlock these other things, as you can see here, they each unlock at different levels. And your level is this number that's right here. And this is your progress bar, just like any sort of RPG that you've played before. And it's the same thing on these. Each one has their own requirement. What I'm going to do to jump myself into a custom game, and I'm going to show you a little bit more on how to play. There was certain things in the tutorial that they didn't cover or didn't quite cover well enough, and I'm going to give you a bit of an overview on that. Plus, I actually had it crash in the middle of it, and I wasn't able to completely finish it. So, I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so we're in the game now. First off, one thing that I wanted to say, when you actually play in the tutorials, especially the battle training, I noticed, when you start the game it has this button toggled. What that does is when you move, it makes your camera follow you. There's two different ways to turn this off if you don't like it. Obviously just clicking that button will turn it off, and it'll allow you to move freely and move the camera on your own. Or you can press the Y key, which does the same thing, simply toggles it back and forth. Or if you just want to quickly move back to your character, if you press the spacebar, it just briefly activates that button, so it brings you back to your character. Really handy.
On the right path.
Next, I just wanted to talk about some of the
30 seconds
first items that you're going to build. So, right here, you'll see this is it might start you on this page. This is a list of all the items that are in the game, but that's a little bit overwhelming. All of these different things and all these different stats, there's quite a few items, and you might not really know what's good for your character. Maybe you end up getting something that's completely useless. So, what I like to do, especially on any new champion that I've never seen before, I like to start with the recommended items. Any of these items right here, these are your starting items, so this is usually just enough to get rid of your initial amount of gold here. And these are sort of your essential items, so these are the first items that you're going to want to get. You don't necessarily have to get them in this order, and you also don't have to get them all at once. You can see when you click on these items that you can actually buy their individual parts, and we'll get back to that once we actually get back to base. You can see each of these things are broken up into their own separate pieces with their own gold costs. You don't have to save up 2,800 gold to get the Phantom Dancer. You can buy each of these small pieces in between when you come back to base. Next, I'm just going to talk about the different lanes. So in the tutorials, they do talk about top, middle, and bottom lane, which are these three. They didn't quite make it clear exactly which ones were which, but top lane runs all along here. I mean, it is quite obvious. Middle lane runs completely across the middle, and bottom lane runs all the way along here. Sometimes you'll also have a jungler who will farm these small camps in the jungle. And usually when you do that, it's usually your second person from top lane that will do that. Usually you'll have two people in bottom, one person in middle, one person in top, and one person farming the jungle. When you first start off, you might not always have someone in the jungle. It's kind of hit or miss if that happens or not. I'll be back in a little bit, once I've farmed up a little bit. Well, there's a few different things that I just wanted to touch on here. First off, when you're actually buying things, you'll notice that they do have titles here. Obviously the essential items I already talked about, but after you get those, there's the offensive and the defensive items. So if you're doing fairly good, and you want to keep doing more damage to your enemies, or maybe you just want to play a lot more offensively, getting these offensive items will help you in that. But if you tend to be dying a lot, you can choose these different items to do that. Each of them do something slightly different. You can look at them, and some of them say this one has more armor than magic resist. So if you're playing against, or you tend to be dying from champions that are doing more physical damage to you, then this might be your better choice. Whereas if you're taking more magic damage, maybe one of these two would be a better choice. Also, there's these consumables down here, and there's a slightly different list for different characters, and you can buy these at any point in the game. So you can see here I picked up 5 health potions for when I go back to lane, so I have lots of health to get back. Sometimes it'll say that you want mana potions. These are sight wards. I'll have a specific video just on those. And there's also a couple other different consumables, different buffs, things that have lots of wards in them, sight elixirs, and yeah.
Do not confuse
Also, one other difference
weakness.
between this and battle training that I noticed was that in battle training, a lot of the towers had very low amount of health. I guess that's specifically just so you can get through the tutorial quicker. But as you can see, these towers have 2,500 health, so these ones are slightly less powerful, but they're still not the 500 tower turrets that are in battle training, and they do take a little bit more to push down.
Use mercy for weakness.
And that's all for now. I'll be back in a second, in a little bit, with a little bit more. And since I just happened to kill this inhibitor here, as soon as one spawns, I will show you the super minions. Talked about them a little bit in the tutorials, but I just thought that I'd actually show you the stats that they have, because they're actually quite powerful, and quite a lot more powerful than, say, these tank minions, or even lower, the melee or the range minions.
Swiftly now.
So it looks like one spawned, so I'm just going to back here so I can show you these guys right here. Look at how much health and damage these things have. They're very strong. And they take even less damage from turrets, just like the tank minions do. So anytime you kill an inhibitor, for 5 minutes after that, these minions will spawn in, one in every wave. If you kill all 3 inhibitors, so 1, 2, 2, and 3, 2 of them will spawn in. And once that happens, it's very difficult to come back from. But they do only last for 5 minutes. So if they do come back up, and the enemy team manages to kill all the ones that are coming down the lanes, then they still do have a chance. I think that's all for now. I might come back just at the end of this game just to show you that. So we're just about to finish this game up here, but I wanted to make sure that I showed you death screen here, so hopefully my team can survive without me. Whenever you go inside the tower, the enemy base there, you'll see that you take a very large amount of damage. You usually can't survive for more than a second in there. But I just wanted to show you this so you can see who killed me, who assisted, and what types of damage they did. That sort of a death recap can help you choose what sort of items you need to build to defend yourself, or just see what sort of builds people are doing. Some people do some crazy builds that you're not quite expecting. Anyways, so that's the end of my first video. I hope that you all enjoyed it and that you all learned something. I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll talk to you later.